Pat Soldano, president of Family Enterprise USA. Family Enterprise USA promotes family businesses and their lifetimes of savings and their job growth in the United States. We are a 501c3 organization, and we've been in existence since 2007. Again, a simple mission to promote generationally owned family businesses in the United States. So I'm very pleased to have with me today Kent Thompson, who is president of Thompson Realty Group, which is located in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we're going to talk to him about his family business and his family business story. So Kent, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We use this video to explain family businesses to voters and to people around the country, so they truly have an idea of what family businesses do, how they support their families, their employees, and their communities. So let's start by having you give us a brief history of the business. Talk to us a little bit about the size, number of employees, or the number of projects that you're working with currently, and again, a little of the history.
Thank you, Pat. Glad to be on this with you. Thompson Realty Group is a group that started, I've been in commercial real estate for 45 years. I started this business about 33 years ago in Lincoln, Nebraska, and have enjoyed growing this company quite a bit over those 33 years. We have grown to quite a size and have kind of repositioned ourselves within the marketplace. We run about 60 different buildings that we've put up and built, invested in. And we are in the great city of Denver, Minneapolis. We also are invested heavily in Chicago, as well as St. Louis and Lincoln, Nebraska, and Omaha, Nebraska. So we've had quite a run and have grown quite a bit. We have right now on staff 9 employees. At one time, we were quite large and did a lot of development work. We're at that point about 33 employees, but we've shifted to a different type of investment vehicle. All these are commercial properties, medical office buildings, industrial buildings, regular office buildings, retail centers. So we've had quite a broad experience, but always in the commercial real estate.
Excellent. And tell us how you work with the family now, because I know you have passed next generation, the business on to the next generation, and maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. Love the idea that we're passing this on to our kids. They grew up in the business, from picking up cigarettes in parking lots and emptying trash at shopping centers to, as they got older, from mowing to actually helping us build the buildings. And we have 3 kids, 2 boys and a daughter. And the boys were very active with us in the outside work, loved working with them. They went on to get their educations. And the oldest son decided that he would chase his greatest passion. She moved to St. Louis. So the next in line son is now taking over the business. He's been with us for 12 years. He's doing a great job and growing him administratively. Has a very strong background in terms of his education. So been enjoying having all 3 of the kids actively engaged. We do our family meetings twice a year. Once a year, it's always someplace really fun, and once a year, it's always at our house during the holidays. But we've enjoyed putting together a strong trust agreement that allows the kids as well as their spouses to participate in the company. They will inherit the company, and it has worked very, very well. We try to communicate as much as we possibly can with the kids. They're involved in the investment committee side of what we do. We do venture outside of real estate a little bit, not much, but they make those decisions. They're actively engaged. As I said, the son who's looking to take over, he's currently watching over. Right now, we have 6 different projects that are happening in terms of acquisition and disposition, as well as lease negotiations that are happening with the various tenants, and very, very actively involved with the tenant construction. So he's doing an excellent job for us. But kids are all thoroughly engaged with us in terms of what we are doing and how we're going about doing it, and are kept up abreast of how our financials look, and they have questions and comments, and we certainly solicit that information, and we certainly share it openly. So it's been fun to have the kids involved. We're quite blessed to have them actively engaged with us.
I would agree. You are blessed to have the next generation involved, and you've also done a good job in doing that planning and passing the business on to the next generation, which isn't always easy. So let's talk about the community, because I know you're involved in various geographies with your projects. But how do you work with your local communities and support them in maybe some of the not-for-profit work that is going on in your communities?
Well, we feel it's very important to do something that we call tithing. And we do that in our local communities by supporting various ventures that meet needs of the poor and the needy in the community. And we're very specific about that, and we police that very closely. So whether it's a food kitchen, clothing drive type of situation, which are the two primary ways that we try to give back, we do that in a significant and meaningful way. We will support the real estate projects, where a lot of programs will not support real estate. They'll support their social programs. So we come in and take care of that. We go in and take care of their buildings, put in new windows, HVAC systems, things of that nature, new roofs, things that we're familiar with that are very difficult for these donation type venues to be able to support and get people to come in and take care of these things in a timely manner when they're stressed. So that's how we stay engaged.
And I remember when we were talking that you said that you've done some work, outside of the country, some missionary kind of work. Maybe you could talk to us about that a little bit.
Oh, it's a pleasure to talk about that. Our kids, we decided that rather than taking them to wonderful vacations on spring break, where they would just lay around on a beach or swim and luxuriate themselves, we decided we'd let them understand what the real world is really like. And with that, we started building schools all over the Caribbean, the Central America, South America, and Africa. The wife and I still continue to do that. We build at least one major project a year. And we're that type of group that says, yeah, we'll help. Anybody can write a check. We like to actually get out there and physically work and meet the people and understand the culture, understand the issues that they're having. Very rewarding, extremely rewarding. The kids love it. Of course, right now they're in that stage where they have young kids, and so they're not traveling to do that work with us right now, although they'd love to. But what's meaningful is when the people in the various communities come up and they hold your hand or hug you. They're crying and they're telling you, wow, without your help, my little Jill or Joe would never have an education. And now with your work here, they'll have a very nice education. So we feel very rewarded by going in and helping do that.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's such a rewarding, as you said, and wonderful experience for you, but also so important to the people that you help. So let's talk about how government can help or hurt that, because in order to donate and help not-for-profit organizations, we need to have profitable organizations that have the financial wherewithal to do that. And our government imposes certain taxes on families and family businesses and certain regulations. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about how you've been impacted by the tax and economic policy in this country.
Yes. I think that if you're in business, you're in politics, whether you want to be or not. So you might as well get active and get engaged. We certainly know our local politicians, our state politicians, and our national politicians, and make an effort to stay in touch with them. So how does that affect us? We do a lot of buying and selling, and there's a law called the 1031 exchange, which allows us to continue to roll our capital forward before it gets taxed. the government has made many ventures to wipe that out. And there's a lot of great information that says, hey, hold on a second, government. You actually make a lot more money by us rolling forward than by you taking it and using it for the various programs that you think are necessary. One of the things that we've noticed over time is we have to stand on the front lines where we have issues with floodplains that affect us. We have issues with how things are built, why they're built, how they're being built. And of course, right now, one of the biggest issues that's hitting the country is affordable housing. And people say, well, gosh, if they didn't charge so much, or unions weren't charging so much for labor, or whatever it is. But the truth is that 27% of all of our costs on the site is caused by government. So if we could reduce anything, we could have more affordable housing. We're not talking about luxurious housing. We're just talking about great housing for the poor and the needy in our community. And I look at a lot of the things that we're doing right now and go, why are we doing this? This is just wiping out our lower class and middle class people. I mean, we need to stop a lot of the programs that sound so wonderful and so neat and so cool. At the same time, they are just destroying our middle class and lower class. And a lot of it, frankly, is around energy. And I look at that and go, wow, what are you people thinking? I think we all need to be great conservatives of whatever issues we have in life, whatever we've been given, whether we're farmers or whether we're growing timber or whatever it is. We all need to be conservative with the goods that are put in front of us and work to the very best of what we're given. But to wipe out the other people, to put rules and regulations on how and where timber is growing or how we get energy, we need to stop and think through the idea that eliminating things, quickly and immediately are going to make massive changes without really looking at what the overall causes are. So that adds a lot. And I think a lot of the inflation that we're seeing right now is just driven from current policy. And it's unfortunately, mistaken as being beneficial. It's more branding than it is, in my opinion, than beneficial. So government regulations, they hit us very hard, whether they're estate taxes, income taxes, whether there's sales taxes. Government is growing very rapidly, and the expense of supporting that has grown unbelievably quickly over the last 50 years. So you need to be engaged, and you need to stand up and say, yeah, this is a great idea, but we just can't afford to allow our people to be displaced from their houses, displaced from their qualities of life because of some sort of minor program. So I actively talk to our congressmen, I actively talk to our senators, actively talking to our city council people, our state elected officials. I'm engaged.
Well, that's so important. You're absolutely right. And people need to know that you have to stay engaged. As you said, the country revolves around politics, whether you like it or not. It affects everything. So I'm glad that you specifically talked about 1031 exchange, which is so important. And as you said, you create affordable housing for people. That's so critical. And income tax rates, people don't realize that most organizations, most family businesses like yours operate through a pass-through entity. So you're not paying that 21% corporate tax that corporations get to pay. You're paying 30 to 35 to 37% ordinary income tax rates. And 59% of the jobs in this country are generated by family businesses. And yet almost 80% of them operate through these pass-through entities that get to pay these very high rates of income tax. So those are so important issues. And I'm glad that you tied that to the community giving, because that affects your ability to help the community. So I think it's so very, very important.
We get stumbled every year by the amount of money that we can donate versus the income that we make. So we are very big in terms of helping, local community. There's no question in my mind about it. But we feel blessed to be in those communities and a need to help those people.
Well, we really appreciate that. Are there any final words that you would like to impart to the audience today in this video?
Well, we work very diligently to be as open booked with our kids as we possibly can, and to keep them engaged so that they know what's happening, what's going on, that they see how we go about making decisions, and we learn from our kids, and we have learned a lot over the years. So we're open-minded that way in terms of how we look at it. But I would say it's been a wonderful, wonderful time to have our son, to see him every day, to work with him every day. It's been great to get on our calls with our kids and talk about our business. Obviously, we have a lot of fun on those calls, but we do have some very serious business that we talk about. So everybody knows that, eventually we're going to die, and eventually they're going to wind up inheriting this, and hopefully they'll continue to enjoy success.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So Ken, thanks so much for being on this video today. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your story. You are really an amazing family and a family business, and you're important to the country. So once again, thanks so much.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate being here.